want to ask you, what do you think is the scope of analytics for a function like finance?
Interesting. So, you know, um, from finance perspective, actually, you are partially correct that, these are the people who have been, grown around the numbers. And for them, apart from the numbers, the definition is also something which actually matters a lot, because, they are talking about different accounting standards and they need to work around with the taxation and other factors. So, yes, they should ideally be the people who understand data and analytics better than probably an HR or a person coming in from a different background. But at the same point in time, one thing that I feel is that within the finance, there is this misnomer, specifically in the mid-sized businesses, is that there is this one guy who's called CFO, who's doing about everything, which is about making sure that the books are complete, because
Mhm.
data transaction recording in itself suggests whether you would be having the right set of data when you want to
Mm.
extract out of it or not. He's the one who's responsible for making sure that the compliance is gonna be right. He's the one who's gonna be making sure that everything is in control in terms of the processes as far as finance is concerned, and he's the one who's gonna be helping you with the insights.
Mm.
But you would never see a person who actually understands or is able to pick up things grounds up as well as from a 5,000 feet view, right? So that way you cut across the finance function and you see there are people who are doing on ground job. Now these are the people who understand their numbers, limited to that. And then there are people who are expected to be the ones who look at data from a business perspective, and this is where a CFO's role comes in. So, in multiple cases wherein we see the real value that a business, extract out of Zota's CFOs, is that they say that you are asking those questions that nobody has ever asked us, and the question that you ask are mostly driven by a data.
Mm.
And interestingly, once you ask a question with data, there are biases is something which just goes away. If I'm saying that you didn't make profit in this particular month, and these are the numbers, you didn't make it, or this particular segment of yours is losing money and the data is there, it is losing money, you cannot say, okay, no, this is probably right, this is wrong, no, no, this is doing good, see, sales was good. Sales was good, but you didn't make money. So coming back to the core, which is about the CFO, if you are talking to a finance guy, one, he should be the one who understands data better. Two, because he understands data better, and if he's the guy who's actually focusing just on the insights out of it, he's not the one who's pushed into the day-to-day job of it, he should be the best guy to talk to when it comes to a person like you. Why? Because a CFO, a true CFO, is the one who, one, understands the business, understands the number, and is hence able to actually add a lot of value to the insights that you are generating.
So, if I may summarize, there are two parts of finance. One is the operational finance, which is about bookkeeping, reporting the right numbers, getting the audits and compliances done. And then there is the business finance, where
Yeah.
you generally create the business plan, look at your assumptions, and then you work on the growth of the company.
And actually add to it, look at the alternate data and see whatever you are trying to do is actually matching with the data which is not in control of your organization.
So, definitely, Arun, earlier the time spent in bookkeeping was high with
Yeah.
huge amount of digitization happening.
Hmm.
Systems and processes have become more stronger. If the data quality is good, the time to manage books is reducing, but the time to add value to grow the numbers and see what is driving it. But उसमें मुझे जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज लगता है ना, यू मेक लॉट ऑफ अजम्पशंस कि ये होगा वो होगा, मैक्रो डेटा देख लिया, बट कॉस्ट तो सब मीट कर लेते हैं,
Hmm.
सेल्स मीट नहीं करते, है ना. Now, to me, the missing linkage is the finance numbers meeting the operational KPIs.
Actually speaking, finance number per se is of no use unless you actually tie it with the operations number. So if I'm saying that we spend 35% of my sales on marketing, you need to get into the details of marketing before you say that, okay, this cost was good or bad. So most of the time when a good CFO is talking to a business, he should ideally be having a look at the operational MIS before he's actually looking at the financial MIS, because as I said, financial MIS, the number that you get is a codified number. Codified, I always say so, because this is basis what an accounting standard is telling you,
Yes.
right? And hence the number that you need to look at could actually be different from what finance says. So real impact is where you can you'll end up having a very strong impact when you say, here is the finance data, here is the ops data, this is how they are tying to each other, this is how they are marrying together. And actually you see that's the reason in most of the good organization, CFO is the guy who's a growth partner for CEO. He's seen as the guy who could be the next CEO. And the only reason is because he's not just finance, he's majorly business partner.
Yes.
Right? So in my day-to-day work, this is a standard question that people say, what is the job of a CFO? What do I expect from a CFO? And mind you, I'm talking about the mid-sized businesses where we work. Most of the time, the expectation stops at saying cash flow management. Most of the time it stops at cash flow management. I would say it is where it starts.
That's the basic thing.
That's the very base, which is like goes without saying. But a lot of other things that can happen, because you're talking to somebody who understands business and the guy who understands the numbers together. And I'm sure with your experience you would be able to correlate that if you talk to somebody who understands business and is able to understand your analytics, there is a great value that you can drive.
And I've seen now there's a growing trend. Like earlier, the sales head used to generally become the CEO. Now with the digital businesses coming, a lot of product head or tech heads are becoming CEOs. Now in few companies where the CFO is playing a growth role, they become the CEO.
Why? Because ultimately you need to have a 5,000 feet view and be able to take a right set of decision basis the data. So when it comes to data, obviously that guy, that finance guy would actually.
I'll take another example. In one place we were working, and so they were facing a challenge at the store level. How do we improve the conversion of the store? Okay, so उनका कुछ 20-25% चल रहा था conversion rate. But what they realized is when we looked at the data कि why the conversion is low. Okay, there were multiple things which came out. One was कि is there manpower availability proper? Okay, are we covering all the full times at the peak footfall traffic? The second issue which came out after very deep analysis is the delivery time was high.
Oh.
Okay. In fact, I was talking to somebody from one of the burger chains. They were saying that the queue time, they started monitoring kitna time people are taking to reach the person to place order. They worked on opening more counters. When they cut it down, they saw a 10% jump in their revenue just by looking at that data. So what they did, they opened one counter, पहले manned, then they opened more unmanned counters. तो 5 अनमैन्ड काउंटर्स लगा दिए, आप बस एक बंदा उनको गाइड करा, आप सर ऐसे ऐसे क्लिक क्लिक करके परचेज कर सकते हो. तो बंदा उनका एक ही लगा, बट अनमैन्ड काउंटर से. सो देयर इज लॉट ऑफ पीसेस इफ यू स्टार्ट मॉनिटरिंग कि टू इंक्रीज स्टोर सेल्स, इट्स नॉट अबाउट ओनली डूइंग मार्केटिंग. ऑपरेशंस में बहुत ज़्यादा अपॉर्चुनिटी होती है.
राइट.